Hello everybody, I am Gareth here from What Culture Wrestling. Happy Sunday! It's a Sunday, so you know what that means. It means I'm sat here on my lonesome telling you about all the things that are going on in the wrestling world. But that's fine because we love it. We love to talk about all things wrestling. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight on into the first piece of news today. And what we've got is we're talking a little bit about what went down yesterday on, not yesterday, the day before, on Smackdown. Because obviously Vince McMahon popped up and he gave a bit of a weird promo, all things considered. It was towards the end of Triple H's big 25th anniversary celebration. We had loads of clips, loads of Shawn Michaels poking fun at Triple H, and yeah, various FaceTime calls. It was quite fun in its own right. And then Vince McMahon popped up and he started poking his son-in-law, and then he'd get really serious, and then he'd say he loved him, and then he brought up the gobbledygooker, he brought up Katie Vick, of all things. He brought up the Bailey This Is Your Life segment, and he seemed to allude to the fact that Triple H may have had something to do with that. He said that it wasn't Bailey's fault that happened, like that really got received the way it did. But then, yeah, it just overall, it felt a bit odd, really. We spoke about this yesterday on the news a little bit. We spoke about it in the Smackdown Review podcast, which you need to go and check out as well. But it appears that WrestleVotes have, on Twitter, they've spoken to a source, a WWE source, and it appears to have cleared things up a little bit, because we weren't sure whether it was just McMahon really ramping up his character and just being as unpredictable as possible, or whether there was maybe a few cracks starting to show just in him as a person right now. He's had a very eventful, let's say, couple of weeks, and it might finally be getting to him from the sounds of things. So WrestleVotes have screenshot this conversation that they had with this WWE source, and they've posted it, and it says that, the source says, that is what he's been like the last 2 weeks, or so I'm seeing. Think this current situation, Mania cancelled, XFL getting killed, has finally got to him, and he's at the F it part of it all. Screw it, Vince could be wild. I agree, screw it, Vince could be very wild, but yeah, I just think it's a really odd situation. I sensed something was a little bit up when I was watching it. It didn't quite, it just felt like rambling nonsense, really, which is what it tends to sound like when I speak. But yeah, for Vince McMahon, it was a little bit out of character based on what he's done in the past, maybe. So yeah, there's been a lot that the company has been going on with. There's no secret. They've obviously had the WrestleMania 36 plans have just been tore up and changed. They had the XFL folded. They had all the releases recently. They've been sued by a former XFL CEO and commissioner. It's just every single week seems to be something new happening. So yeah, Vince McMahon just seems like he's on the edge right now, which you'd expect. But in terms of the actual state of things right now, because WWE are still filming, they are still going ahead with their shows right now in Orlando. We've had a bit of an update on what the business owners, or a few of the business owners in that area, seem to think about this actually going on, because that must be a little bit unsettling. The entire world is pretty much shut down at this point, and WWE is still coming in, bringing people into the area. A few people, apparently, are a little bit unsettled by this. So a local reporter, I'm going to absolutely butcher this name, but I'm just going to go for it. Stephanie Coignou. So sorry. Hopefully it pops up on screen so you can see how to actually say it. They noted on Twitter this past week that she's obviously spoke with owners of 2 businesses near the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, and in regards to the company moving on with the tapings during the current situation. And one owner was said to be very concerned and alleged that they've actually seen WWE employees not following social distancing rules. So that's a little bit unsettling straight from the get-go. But then we've also got another owner has said that they apparently are okay with the shows as long as they don't go near them and they realize that everyone's just trying to make a living. So I think that's been most of this argument, really, about this right now. WWE carrying on with shows. A lot of people have been saying for the human side of things, you don't want people to obviously be in contact with each other in this current situation, but at the same time, people still need to earn a living, and to suddenly tell these people to stop doing what they're doing so they suddenly have no income, it's a really conflicting issue. It has been for weeks and weeks and weeks. I don't have the answer. My opinion is my opinion, but I feel like it's, just as you can see here, from two businesses, they've got completely contrasting opinions. So it's, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below with WWE carrying on doing these shows, how you feel about that. So speaking of WWE, consistently airing new shows during this current situation. Friday night Smackdown's ratings have dropped overnight, and yeah, they've decreased again. It's the trend right now with all these no crowd shows. It feels like the ratings are going down week after week after week after week. And yeah, this week was no different. So last night's episode of Friday Night Smackdown drew an average of 2.014 million viewers, and that was a drop of 7.9% from last week's show. So again, it's a sizable drop in the grand scheme of things. It's just, again, underlining how it doesn't feel like a lot of fans are very interested in watching wrestling with no crowd. A lot of the energy's gone. It feels like a lot of the soul's gone out of the product with that. So it's, yeah, it's again not great numbers for WWE. The second hour fell under 2 million viewers, so that was 1.978 million on average, and that's the second lowest hour. I think no, it's the lowest second hour in the company that they've had for SmackDown in this Fox era. Since they had that broadcast on FS1, that was a couple of months ago. So again, not great figures. The Blue Brand scored a rating of 0.5 in the 18 to 49 demographic, and that was number 7 on the evening as well. So also we've heard a little bit about WWE right now having some backup plans, just in case things change in terms of the state of Florida right now, because obviously that's where they're filming. They're filming in Orlando. AEW have just moved all their production to Jacksonville as well, in Florida, in that area, because that's where they're going to be doing their shows from now. And the UFC have just announced that they're going to be having UFC 249 and a couple more events in Florida as well. And this is all because Governor DeSantis recently declared that sports leagues with national audiences are essential business. So that's the current state of things. That's what's happening now. That's why these companies are allowed to do what they're doing at this point. But the question has been asked, what would happen if Florida decided to reverse that order and shut down sports operations? Obviously, the situation's constantly developing. It's constantly being revised. If that did happen, Vince McMahon has said that they have other states that would welcome them. So they've got other states that they'd be able to fall back on, just in case they're booted out of Florida, for want of a better phrase there. He said this during the WWE Q1 2020 earnings call. He was asked if, obviously, Florida shut down, if the company has backup plans or other locations available. And Vince said, yes, we do, a number of them, and a number of states that would welcome us. So it's not quite clear which states would, what states he's talking about, whether he's, I don't know. Again, I wouldn't want to just throw names out there for the sake of it. But obviously, they have been filming in Stamford, WWE HQ, the Money in the Bank Climb the Corporate Ladder Madness, which is all set to go down on May 10th, so that's going to be insane. So potentially, if they could find a ring in the setup in Stamford, it sounds like they could be able to be greenlit there, just in case. Again, this all feels like a very kind of later down the line backup plan, because it does seem unlikely that Florida will reverse that order at this point. But again, there's no point in assuming, because things seem to be changing by the day. And finally, we've got a little bit of news, obviously, surrounding the NFL. We've had the draft, which has been going on recently. I'm not going to confess to knowing much about the NFL at all. I quite like watching it every now and again, but I would not confess to being anywhere near an expert. So, apparently, the Baltimore Ravens have signed Kennesaw State fullback Bronson Steiner. So, if you know anything about Rex Steiner, he is the son of Rick Steiner. Obviously a famous WCW and WWF talent, along with his brother Scott Steiner. Bronson, just an incredible name. Bronson has reached an agreement with the Baltimore Ravens, according to the school, which is Kennesaw State. In the Owls option offense, Rex Steiner led the team with 909 yards rushing last season, averaging 8 yards per carry. So that sounds pretty good. I mean, again, not an expert with the NFL. You guys let me know if that is awesome. Like, if it is, great. Rick Steiner certainly, obviously, like, it seems like he has his father's strength, let's say that. Because they had a Kennesaw State's Pro Day, that was early in March. Rex Steiner recorded 35 reps on the bench press, and that would have been the 3rd best at the NFL Combine. So the NFL, yeah, that's NFL standard, incredible. That sounds pretty impressive to me. And obviously, Rick Steiner was a tag team champion in WCW and WWF in the 1980s and 1990s. So yeah, he sounds like he's got pretty good genetics there, let's say. to be a success potentially in the NFL. But if it all doesn't work out, because let's be honest, the NFL's a really hard thing to crack into. If Brock Lesnar can't even crack into the NFL, you've got to be some kind of super athlete, let's be honest. So if that doesn't go to plan, he doesn't actually make it in the NFL, he has talked about pursuing potentially a career in pro wrestling, just in case that doesn't come to fruition. So he could potentially be keeping it in the family. So that would be quite cool to see. Maybe at some point down the line we get another Steiner. I'm not sure if Scott Steiner's got a son. It could be the Steiner next generation. Something could happen there, and it'd be quite interesting. Again, I'm so sorry, I have no idea about anything in regards to the NFL, so just throw your hate at me now. I have been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Do not forget to like, share, click on that subscribe button, ring the bell as well. While you're there, for all things What Culture Wrestling, don't forget to follow us on What Culture WWE. Follow myself on Twitter at gmorgan04. And yeah, the most important thing is have the most amazing Sunday you can. Whatever you're doing in the world right now, if you're just sat in your garden having a beer, if you're working like myself, just try and keep your spirits up, keep your chin up, and I will see you very, very soon.